Jared Goff deserves his flowers this morning. Job's not done. Season's not over.
Yep.
But 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions doesn't happen on accident.
No.
30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, to me, isn't just an average quarterback. It's more than even an above average. It's borderline a very good quarterback. Even great, you could argue. If I would just put up Jared Goff's numbers, and I told you it wasn't Jared Goff, okay? If I read them off to you, 4,214 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 100 passer rating. If I just told you that was Patrick Mahomes, you would say, yeah, sounds like an MVP quarterback to me.
It's damn
if I
good.
told you it was Justin Herbert, you'd be like, yep, sounds about right. That's Jared Goff this year. He's played at an elite level all year. He's been a top 3 quarterback in the NFC, top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And what his future should hold is he's the starting quarterback of the Lions next year, no doubt about it, and likely the starting quarterback in 2024.
Yeah.
And I've used the Alex Smith comparison since day one because I believe it in my heart. Having a guy like Jared Goff allows you to build your team, win divisions, win playoff games, play meaningful football games, set your franchise up in the right trajectory. And when the time is right, if you aren't confident in him, if you don't believe he's the long-term solution, well, then you can move up in the draft and take your quarterback. Now, it's way easier said than done to draft a quarterback. They miss 85 to 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
First-round quarterbacks don't always hit. It is a low success rate. Having said that, that is the decision you would, I believe, trust Brad Holmes to make. And yes, as long as they don't fork out a 4-year, $150, $160 million extension, I don't think I'm going to be questioning what they want to do with Jared Goff. He has earned the right to be the starting quarterback next year, and depending on next year, he will likely be the starter in 2024.
Right.
And I think he would have earned that, because if you're already talking to me from now, given $28 million in available cap space I get next year with Brad Holmes, along with 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, pretty sure Brad Holmes is going to have this team looking like the best team in the NFC North next year. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be my pick to win it. Jared Goff is going to play a big part of that. And I don't think you can question his future with this team. You just can't anymore. This isn't the butt fumble. This isn't throwing an interception every game to start the year. This isn't throwing pick sixes every week.
Right.
This is a guy that is playing at an elite level. It's coming through confidence. It's coming through health of the team. Yes, that is a part of it. But more importantly, he is playing, I would say, at his best level since 2018 with the Rams and Sean McVay, Jeff.
And that was the big thing, right? That was the reason why he was traded away from L.A. is Jared's holding us back. That was the narrative in L.A. If anything, he's keeping the Lions afloat with how good this offense has been. So it's a completely different narrative in Detroit. And one thing I respect about Goff, too, is early in the year, like you said, the pick sixes, turning the ball over, his ability to adjust, and now over the last 8 weeks, not have a single interception. That's the most impressive thing to me, is Jared Goff just playing clean football, playing confident football, and being productive. Like, that's the thing, too. It's not like Jared has mid stats. Top 6 in yards, top 4, tied for 4th in touchdowns, 6th in QBR. That's pretty good stats. I mean, that's a top 6, 7 quarterback, not even in the NFC, but in the NFL currently. So, Jared Goff, that's why the discussion, should you extend him or not, he's under contract. And this is, you wouldn't want anybody else here but Jared Goff. He allows you flexibility. You don't have to draft a quarterback. And we've talked about this. The only reason, or the only way I'd be okay with drafting a quarterback is if you feel like that quarterback can eventually be better than Jared Goff. My only pick this year would be Bryce Young, because you saw how he played in the bowl game. Love what Bryce Young brings. But besides that, Jared Goff, to me, is the quarterback you want in the future. He has experience. He can win a playoff game. He can win a division. Who knows? He's been to a Super Bowl. You got to get this defense fixed. You got to add talent. And now, as much young talent as they have, there's still a lot of holes on this team, and they can address that in the draft. You don't have to take a quarterback. And I don't think they will, depending on how Jared Goff's playing. So, again, and if people want to bring up that Jared Goff, I don't know if you want to call them haters or the doubters, well, Ben Johnson is a big part of that. Well, you're right. I do believe Ben has a piece in that. But Jared's on the field executing, right? He's He's putting up the numbers. So as much as you want to give credit to coaching, name me a quarterback who's having a great season and tell me they're terrible head coach.
Well, you can name them.
You need coaching. That's a part of it. So to discredit Goff because he has Ben Johnson, I think is idiotic.
Well, you can name them, but you'd have to include Goff in that conversation because of how well he's playing.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, I apologize, whoever it is in the chat. Somebody had mentioned Alex Smith has never played as well as Jared Goff. You are correct, my friend. But you know what Alex Smith has done that Jared Goff is only now doing this year? In his 5 years at Kansas City, he never threw for more than 8 interceptions. Ever. He protected the ball.
But
yes, he only threw... Go ahead.
I was going to say, what's the touchdown number for those years?
His most touchdowns ever in a single season was his last year, where he threw for 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Gotcha.
Okay? And that was the year they sat Mahomes, and the next year Mahomes obviously exploded with the offense. The rest is history. But the point is, it's not the level of play you want. It's the success that Alex Smith had that you want. Mm-hmm. You want those 2 division titles. You want those playoff appearances. You want that playoff win. And if Jared Goff delivers you that, forget the 2 first-round picks you got from the Stafford trade. That, to me, is more important than the draft picks.
Absolutely.
So, yes, if I'm going to get this level of play, Jared Goff is my guy next year and the year after. Mm-hmm. And if I'm Brad Holmes, for example, see, this is an uncomfortable conversation. If I'm Brad Holmes and I make the decision to go get a Will Levis, a C.J. Stroud, let's just hypothetically here.
Right.
Does anybody have a problem with it? I don't think so. Why? Because you know Goff's a starter next year, and you know they're going to sit him. And you know next year you can win a division, win a playoff game. And you want to pass the baton the year after? Great. If you don't and he's not working out, cool, keep Goff. Like, it is not as easy as saying, here's Goff, we're going to go get our Patrick Mahomes. We're going to go get our Justin Herbert. It is very difficult to do that.
Yeah, every team attempts
And just because it's a rookie contract doesn't mean it's more valuable than the play you're getting from Jared Goff this year at $30 million a year. Jared Goff right now is playing better at $30 million than some quarterbacks are playing at getting $40, $45, $50 million a year.
And you know what you can't teach either? The experience Goff has. He's been in damn near every situation possible. I mean, you look at that first drive where the headset in the helmet wasn't working. They had to draw signs on the side. Nate Sudfeld helped out with that, but Ben Johnson pretty much letting Jared Goff dictate the entire drive. They scored on that drive. So, again, you throw a rookie in that situation, your headset's not working, it's a little different. I mean, Jared Goff has the experience. He pretty much was the play caller through a majority of that drive, and it led in a score. So, Jared Goff brings a different level of experience that this team currently needs right now. And he's healthy. He's one of those quarterbacks who just doesn't really miss games. So, a guy who's going to be there, be productive, and has the experience that you need at the position for a team that's young. He checks all those boxes.
So, guys,
and he signed for 2 more years.
I appreciate the enthusiasm in the chat. I really do. Stop talking to me about the Super Bowl. One team wins it every year. Okay? That should not be the benchmark. The only time you get to go and talk to me about a Super Bowl is when you're the best team in the NFC or one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFC.
Right.
When you're a lock to win your division. When you're winning playoff games. When you've gone through your bumps in the road and you've lost in a championship game. Then you can talk to me about a Super Bowl. Till then, can we just accomplish one thing at a time? You've got the right GM. And you know what? Yesterday on the Fox 2 postgame show, or excuse me, on the Fox postgame show, who was on it? Sean Payton and Howie Long both agreed Dan Campbell could be, like Sean Payton mentioned earlier in the year on the Colin Cowherd show, he could be the offensive version of Mike Vrabel. Dan Campbell, these last 9 weeks, has looked exactly that.
Yeah.
And he deserves a ton of credit.
Yeah, Sean Payton was spot on.
Check yourselves at the door with the Super Bowl stuff. We'll get to that when your team is the best team in the NFC or one of the 2-3 best teams. For now, you have Green Bay. You have next year where I think you should win your division, where I think you should compete for it, where I think you're more than capable of hosting and winning a playoff game, in a weak NFC. That's what next year is about. Leave me alone with the Super Bowl comments. You can get there one day. It's a process. Josh Allen hasn't won a Super Bowl, and the Bills have been Super Bowl contenders now for 2-3 years. So check yourselves at the door. Accomplish what teams set out to do. Win a division. Host a playoff game. Win a playoff game. Prove that you can be part of the conversation of teams that could make it to a Super Bowl.
Right.
The Niners are Super Bowl contenders, right? Mm-hmm. And the Eagles are, aren't they? Are the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, if they're all Super Bowl contenders, can they all make it to the Super Bowl this year?
No.
Okay.
No, they cannot.
Chiefs Super Bowl contenders?
Absolutely.
How about the Bills?
Yep. And Bengals.
And the Bengals. And maybe the Ravens? I don't think so, but you get where I'm going with this, right? One of them's going to get there.
Buffalo hasn't made one with Josh Allen yet.
No, they haven't.
That's a damn good team.
Just check yourselves at the door. It's okay to be excited. I don't mind.
Right.
But leave me with the Super Bowl arguments about Jared Goff, your future, or this Lions team. You go win the division first. You go host a playoff game at Ford Field for the first time first. Then you can talk to me about a Super Bowl.
You know what I love, though? That Dan Campbell talked about that in the press
in the
conference.
post game. Yep.
Because you really don't hear about expectations for the future, but the fact that Dan mentioned that, our goal is obviously, and this is, I mean, we could have guessed this from a mile away, but their goal is to win the division. They want to do that next year. He said in the press conference, we want to have home field advantage in the playoffs. That's what we look for. That's what me and Brad Holmes discussed.
And what they discussed on timeline, by the way.
Year 3, you win the division.
What did Dan Campbell say?
You called. You talked about that.
What did Dan Campbell say yesterday? He said the plan was always by year 3 to compete. What did I ask for?
Year 3 to compete for the division.
And I told you I would leave him alone.
Yep.
Show progress in year 2, and I will have a conversation in year 3. At 1 and 6, there was no progress. But to their credit, they turned it around, and they deserve to be talked about in a positive, optimistic way. Mm-hmm. So don't at me with 2-3. It's a 6-year. Shut the fuck up. It's not a 6-year contract. By year 3, you should compete and win your division.
Right.